Top Dem defends Trump's military strike on drug smugglers in blow to Schumer. Now, I did not have this Democrat on my 2025 bingo card as someone making rational common sense. It's surprising the stuff that's coming from this individual, which we're gonna talk about. But people are coming out saying that Trump shouldn't have hit this smuggling ship. But the thing is, he already labeled them a terrorist organization. These cartels, terrorist organization. So with that label, he is allowed to do what he's doing. You might not agree with what he's doing, but he is allowed. It is within his rights to do what he's doing. Because I didn't hear these same leftists complaining when Obama dropped a bomb on a literal American citizen that he called a terrorist overseas, dropped a bomb on him and killed his innocent son. And leftists didn't say anything about that. But when Trump dropped bombs on a cartel members, they're all up in arms wanting to protect these criminals, these smugglers. It's ridiculous. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from the Conservative Brief, and they report that U.S. Senator John Fetterman strongly defended President Donald Trump's use of military force against suspected drug smugglers after a New York Times report questioned the legality of the action. Quote, overdosing takes 100,000 plus American lives every year. Cartels wage this war against our nation every day. Maybe it's time for our nation to push back and hold the cartels fully accountable, Fetterman wrote on X. And I definitely agree with that. The Times piece authored by Charlie Savage said Trump, quote, used the military in a way that had no clear legal precedent or basis by ordering U.S. forces to kill a group abroad, what he described as a drug smuggling boat. Again, I bring up Obama, who literally done this to American citizens, and you didn't hear a whiff of this from the New York Times. Conservative lawmakers and analysts countered that because the smugglers were tied to organizations classified as terrorist groups. They were legitimate targets. That's what I was just alluding to earlier. They are considered terrorists, and under that term, our president, whether you like it or not, can legally do what he's doing, just like what Obama did. The men killed this week were identified as members of Tren de Agua, a Venezuelan gang that has been labeled narco-terrorists. According to a Daily Wire op-ed, the smugglers were not warned by the Coast Guard, and there were no attempt to arrest them. Again, do they warn the terrorists before? You know, if we were in Iraq or Afghanistan, will we warn the terrorists before we bomb them? Will we have someone say, "Hey, we're about to come and arrest you"? No, we just bomb them. But it said, quote, until now, the absolute worst case scenario is that they might get detained very briefly and maybe have to answer a question or two about why they're heading towards the United States on a boat with 4 outboard motors and millions of dollars worth of narcotics, the report said. And then some NGO armed with tax dollars commandeered by the Democratic Party would jump into action and spring them loose. And that's true. These NGOs protect these cartel members. The op-ed added that this time NGOs, academics, and judges were not given an opportunity to intervene. Supporters of the operation argue it demonstrates Trump is taking direct action to combat the drug trade despite opposition from liberals and Democratic politicians. Meanwhile, Trump warned Friday that Venezuelan planes could be shot down if they put U.S. forces in what he called a dangerous position. The warning came after the Pentagon said 2 Venezuelan fighter planes flew near a U.S. Navy destroyer operating in international waters this week. The incident occurred as the United States expanded its military presence in the southern Caribbean. The latest escalation follows a U.S. strike on a vessel tied to the Venezuelan-linked Tren de Agua gang. The administration said 11 people were killed in that operation. The Pentagon described the flight of 2 planes as highly provocative and cautioned Caracas not to interfere with U.S. counter-narcotic and counter-terrorism operations. Trump spoke to reporters in the Oval Office about the possibility of further escalation. He said, quote, "Well, I would say they're gonna be in trouble," Trump said. We heard what happened, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, general, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do, he added. Asked how close the Venezuelan planes had gotten, Trump declined to provide details. He said, quote, "Well, I don't want to talk about that," he said, "but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shot down." The Department of Defense told Newsmax there was, quote, "nothing new that we can provide on the incident." Trump had previously announced a strike against the suspected Tren de Agua gang's vessel on Truth Social. He said, quote, "Earlier this morning on my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Agua narco terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility," he wrote. He said the group and designated foreign terrorist organization, the group, a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, was engaged in mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and other violent crimes across the Western Hemisphere, which is absolutely true. So he is well within his rights to bomb the ship or the carrier or whatever, as he did, because this is not the first time a president has dropped bombs on a terrorist group. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.